A founding member of the United Federation of Planets, the Andorian people hailed from the frozen moon Andoria, orbiting a ringed gas giant in the Beta Quadrant. As one of many humanoid species in the galaxy, it is possible their history stretched back 4.5 billion years to a powerful progenitor species that seeded life on many worlds, some of which evolved into humans, Romulans, Klingons, Cardassians, and others. According to Andorian mythology, their people originated in a paradise similar to the Garden of Eden on Earth, or Sha-Ka-Ri for the Vulcans. But whatever the case, their ancestors eventually split into two distinct subspecies, with the more socially minded, blue-skinned Andorians populating the surface, while the pale-skinned isolationist Enar made their home underground in the northern wastes, cutting themselves off from the outside world. As a consequence of this schism, they evolved distinct biological features, such as the Enar losing their eyesight but gaining a telepathic form of communication and sensory understanding. Losing contact until they re-established diplomatic relations in the 22nd century, for much of their history, Andorians believed the Enar a mere legend, and so developed independently, creating a militaristic culture known to be passionate, family-oriented, loyal, and honest, though they were capable of deception if absolutely necessary. Adhering to a strict honor code, Andorians always paid their debts and could invoke Ushan, a duel to the death for the sake of vengeance, fought with ice miner tools while tethered together. Uniting under an imperial government led by a chancellor, rank often determined social status, with service in the military called the Imperial Guard considered the highest honor. Viewing males and females as entirely equal, marriages involved groups of 4, with women displaying romantic interest by assaulting a prospective mate. Training great warriors, Andorians were naturally resistant to many environmental conditions, able to survive extreme heat and cold. However, their bodies also tired faster than other species, and so had a disadvantage in prolonged fights as they exhausted more rapidly. When an Andorian died in space, someone brought a piece of them back to Andoria, or else might take their blood for the Wall of Heroes, a monument honoring those deemed worthy. When their technology developed to the point of interstellar spaceflight, the Andorian Empire began to explore the Alpha and Beta quadrants, expanding their territory until eventually establishing diplomatic relations with many of their neighbors. Although initial contact with the Vulcan species was amicable, their vastly different cultures led to mistrust and border disputes by the 1950s Earth calendar, which continued over the next 2 centuries. By 2151, Andorians suspected the Vulcan government, known as the High Command, of spying on their empire through a long-range sensor array hidden within the religious monastery of P'Jem. Yet even after the Andorians raided the monastery twice, no evidence of such an array was found. Nevertheless, suspicion remained, until Commander Shran of the Imperial Guard ship Kumari launched a third attack, this time taking the monks hostage. Soon enough, the human government of United Earth found itself dragged into the conflict when Captain Jonathan Archer and the crew of the Enterprise NX-01 arrived to visit the monastery, leading to their capture. Although this first contact between humans and Andorians began with hostility, Archer and Shran soon found common ground after discovering there really was a secret research facility under the monastery. Though Earth was an ally of Vulcan, Archer felt this deception unacceptable, and so gave the Andorians all their sensor data about the installation. While this decision drastically damaged Vulcan's reputation and their relations with Earth, it created a foundation of trust and respect between humans and Andorians. A few months later, the Andorians escalated the conflict by destroying the monastery of P'Jem, which in turn nearly dissolved the Earth-Vulcan alliance, as High Command blamed Archer and humanity for the entire situation. These 3 regional powers next clashed when Captain Archer was kidnapped and held for ransom by a faction of Andorian-supplied rebels on the planet Coridan, fighting against their oppressive, corrupt Vulcan-allied government. The Vulcans overlooked the abuses of these leaders because they could not risk losing an important source of dilithium, which was an essential component for warp drive technology. Eager to strike against their enemies, the Andorians happily supported the rebels, but when Commander Shran discovered Archer was taken prisoner, he led a rescue mission which liberated the captain and the Enterprise first officer T'Pol. Though Shran technically acted against the interests of his own people, he felt there was no choice, as the Andorian Honor Code demanded he repay the debt owed from the incident at P'Jem, where Archer sided with the Andorians against his allies, the Vulcans. The following year, in 2152, the Vulcans and Andorians engaged in direct combat on the planet Wayton, fighting to a stalemate which led to peace talks between Ambassador Soval and Commander Shran. Unable to reach an agreement, Shran requested that Captain Jonathan Archer of United Earth mediate the discussion, trusting him to be impartial. Showing his diplomatic prowess, Archer successfully navigated their contentious arguments to reach a peace agreement that marked the first major step towards an eventual alliance between these three growing powers. A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Ambassador Alex Nunez, Sir Bob of the Buoy, Torque Frostbite, and Z Packwood. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/civilizationx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.